This is Fox News Alert. It was 1 week ago today that Iran held hostage 10 U.S. sailors at gunpoint. For some reason, they were in Iranian waters. Apparently, we are now learning from the U.S. Central Command in the first public account when they took the inventory. As it turns out, apparently the Iranians took from the sailors 2 satellite phone SIM cards. What's that about? Let's talk to U.S. Senator Marco Rubio from the great state of Florida. He's in Minneapolis today. He's running for president. Mr. Senator, what do you make of the fact that they took the SIM cards out of those satellite phones?
Well, it's not surprising. Iran is not an ally of the United States. And clearly, not only did they do that, they most undoubtedly surveilled the boat, looked around to see if there was any technology on it they wanted to know more about. Thought they also obviously tried to see what they can get off of the soldiers and these 2 satellite phones and the SIM cards. We don't know what's on that information, but here's the point, or what's on those cards. But here's the point. This notion that John Kerry and others keep putting out there, that the Iranians are friends. You see how nice they were when they took our sailors, how quickly they returned them. It is absurd. Iran, their government is an enemy of the United States. They did this, they took a hold of these sailors for the time that they did, and they subjected them to what they subjected them to because they want to send a message to the world that they have us on our knees, that they're humiliating America, that they're growing stronger and we're growing weaker. And then separate from that, I am sure that not only the SIM card, but anything else they could have looked at on that boat that they could have gotten their hands on, they would have tried to do, even if it was just video and photographs, to try to reverse engineer any technology they think we might have that they do not. So it's not surprising. They are not an ally of the United States. They are an enemy. They are an enemy of peace. They are an enemy of security. They are a radical Shia government that wants to dominate the region and the world.
And they have a history of doing it. In 2011, that CIA-operated drone that crashed, they reverse engineered that and took the American technology from that. This looks like they may be trying to do something like that. Again, Senator Rubio, how would you handle things on day one differently than President Obama and Secretary of State John Kerry?
Well, first of all, on my first day in office, we're going to cancel the deal with Iran. We are not going to turn over billions of dollars in sanctions relief to a government that is developing long-range missiles, sponsors Hezbollah and other terrorist groups, props up Assad, and by the way, has always had a nuclear program, and I believe will eventually use that money to either buy or build a nuclear warhead and to hold the world hostage, including America. So we're going to cancel the deal with Iran. Then I'm going to ask Congress not just to reauthorize the existing sanctions for a longer period of time, but to increase them, particularly on specific sectors of the Iranian economy, to ensure that they have less resources than they have now to continue what they're doing, building up their military and their nuclear program, etc. And then I'm going to make very clear to the world that we are strongly on Israel's side, that we are going to do everything possible to provide strength and security to Israel in their face-off, not just against Iran, but others in the region that threaten them. And fourth, we are going to build a missile defense shield to protect America and our allies from the prospects that Iran could one day acquire a long-range missile capable of reaching the mainland of the United States.
And a lot of people have picked up the fact that you're on the Foreign Relations Committee has allowed you to talk in depth about these issues, which is something that's coming back to you that maybe bolsters your candidacy. As you know, Senator, not the best candidate wins every single election. You also have to have the best tactics. Looking tactically, how Trump and Cruz have been battling each other legitimately 3 or 4 times a day for the last week, how does that affect what you do if you're going to play this tactically in a way that's going to be the best advantage for Senator Rubio?
Yeah, it really doesn't, because ultimately what we're engaged here is in a competition to ensure that more people support us than anybody else at the end of the process. So we're going to continue doing what we're doing now. Obviously, you know, we've been attacked. Someone says something about us that isn't true. We're going to address that. If there are policy differences between candidates and people are making a choice between us, we're going to address that. But by and large, what we spend the majority of our time doing is convincing people that if they elect me president of the United States, on day one of my presidency, I will begin the process of reversing all of the damage that Barack Obama has done to this country.
But you don't see when the 2 front runners, Senator, when the 2 front runners are beating each other up, you don't see you as probably in third in most polls. You don't see that as an opportunity for you?
Well, again, I just think we need to continue to do what we're doing now. Every day we're growing in our campaign. And we were in Iowa yesterday. The crowds keep getting bigger. The number of people signing up to support us keeps increasing. And we're very optimistic about what that means. I'm not sure that's a direct result of what's going on between these 2 folks that are battling it out. I'll let them figure that out. I'm going to continue to move forward and appear before audiences and appear before voters and convince them that we're the right choice. And we feel very good about the momentum that we're gaining and what it's going to mean in 2 weeks in Iowa, in 3 weeks in New Hampshire, and at the end of this process, when the delegates are counted.
Well, the last time you were on this program, Senator, you released a web ad where you were throwing the football around. You are premiering this morning a new ad aimed at millennials, the young folk. We want to play a little of it for the folks at home. Here it is.
Recognize us? We're the ones you've heard about.
Millennials.
Demanding. Self-absorbed. Or so you've been told.
The truth is, we care deeply about our country.
Care about the future, so it's time to stand up for it.
And we're ready to make history.
So I'm voting for the first time.
I'm voting for Marco.
I'm voting for Marco.
About lower taxes.
Good jobs.
It was 8 years ago that Barack Obama's campaign was able to get a lot of the millennials at that point to sign up with him, the young people in their teens and 20s. How do you do that for yourself?
Well, this election is as much about them as anybody else. There was a poll about a month ago, and it said half the millennials believe the American dream is dead. That's devastating. That cannot stand. If we lose the American dream, we stop being a special country. And so for us, this campaign is as much about them as anyone else. And that's why we talk about student loan debt. But we also talk about the debt for the country. We talk about national security. This is the world they're going to grow up and inherit. By the time they're my age, Iran will either have a nuclear weapon or they will not. By the time they're my age, ISIS will have either grown to a very dangerous level or we will have defeated them. And so for us, this election is as much about them and my children as anybody else in this campaign. And we spend a lot of time talking about the issues that influence the future, because those young people you saw in that clip there and the ones we interact with across the country, they are the ones that are going to inherit the country we leave behind. And it better be one as good or better than the one that was left to us.
And on another note, how strained are things between you and Jeb Bush?
Well, I don't. It's a political campaign. Personally, they're not strained at all. I continue to like Jeb very much, and I thought, as I said, we'll continue to be friends. I mean, he has chosen now to kind of focus his attacks on me, and that's fine. People can make that choice. We're going to obviously point out the fact that these ads have an air of desperation about them and that they're not accurate. But we're going to move forward as well and continue to focus on our record. I'm not. When I ran for office here, the whole establishment came to me and said, "Don't run. It's not your turn." And we're not, that I needed to wait in line. This is no time for patience. After 7 years of Barack Obama, this is no time for patience. This is a time for urgency. If we don't get this election right, there may be no turning back for America.
All right. Senator Marco Rubio joining us from Minneapolis. Thank you very much for dropping by, sir. I know you got a lot of hands to shake and babies to kiss, so get going. And good luck to you.
And bring your coat. It's cold.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being with us.